Hey yo guys, what's good? What's good? We got Sports Talk episode 3 here. We got Sports Talk episode 3. We got Rowdtime, we got Roshocker, and we got your boy Koolaid. How's everybody doing today? How's everybody's week going? How are we doing today? Rowdy is always, just cool, calm, collected, chill. He's the cool guy in the corner. The cool guy in the corner. Let's go. Yeah, he's like, bring that energy for Friday. And unfortunately, it's not my Friday. Today's my Sunday because I work on weekends. So today is my Sunday. But yeah, it's been a pretty light day today compared to the other days. I mean, we thought today would have been a little bit heavier between yesterday and today. But so far, I mean, it is still early in the day. But so far, the free agency market has been pretty light. We haven't seen too much going on. The biggest, obviously, a couple biggest things right now has been the Juju the re-signing with the Steelers. He takes a major pay cut, going and staying with the Steelers instead of going to potentially the Chiefs or the Ravens. We've seen that. The Ravens actually offered him more money and more incentives than the Steelers, and he decided to take a huge pay cut to stay with the Steelers. I believe the Chiefs also offered him more money as well. So I guess we kind of talk about that to start off with, because that's kind of a big thing, being that he's gonna decide to stay there with the Steelers versus going to another team, potentially signing more money, more incentives, and staying with the Steelers to potentially, I don't know, maybe a prove it year. So we'll go ahead and kick it off with Rowdy, and let me know your thoughts on what he's decided to do there.
Honestly, I think it's a bad move for Juju to stay with the Steelers. I think this is going to be probably one of their worst years in a while. Honestly, I don't see them making the playoffs. So, I mean, they don't make the playoffs and he doesn't have a big year. He's going to take a massive L and probably hurt his value even more. I think he should have went with the Chiefs. I mean, the Chiefs seems like the best option for him. I know they have a bunch of speedy dudes over there, but they do still kind of need that one big target, besides Kelsey for Mahomes to throw to. Honestly, he should either went there or Baltimore. I mean, why not? You're going to go to a team that's going to make the playoffs, which is going to help you a whole lot in the market next year. Instead, yes, I get it's kind of a loyalty thing, but at the same time, you're going to hurt your value big time because the Steelers might be like next year that they don't want you because they're going to go through a full rebuild or possibly draft a receiver to replace you. And so, honestly, I think it's going to hurt him, honestly. In the long run, I feel like it hurts his value next year in free agency.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like he should have went to a different team. Especially if he could have got more in Baltimore. I'm pretty sure there's other teams that probably would have offered him more. You gotta, if you're trying to improve your value, if you're trying to show that you're a number one receiver, you want to go somewhere where you got a quarterback that's pretty capable of getting you the ball. I'm not a big believer in Big Ben. He's kind of shown that he's on a huge decline, and Pittsburgh has lost a lot on their squad, a lot of O-linemen. They're really, I agree with Rowdy. I don't see them making the playoffs. They need to really improve that squad. And yeah, Juju's going to put himself in a situation to where if they can't block for Big Ben, if Big Ben gets hurt and they got to rely on Dwayne Haskins, well, Juju, you are not getting a lot of receptions this year. So yeah, I really think it was a poor choice of him going back to Pittsburgh.
And you think about also just like all the receivers over there. There's so many different guys over there. Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool. So you kind of think about all that, but also you put him in a situation where he's not going to get the ball as much again. Had he taken the spot over there with KC, I mean, he would have took possibly Sammy Watkins' spot, which, I mean, spread the ball, they spread the ball over there, it would have gave them a chance to shine and have a better shot, because there is a better quarterback over there. They're making the moves that they need on O-line to be able to protect Mahomes. So I mean, as far as showing his value, KC probably would have been his best bet, just because, I mean, Ravens aren't really known for that pass heavy, so he wouldn't have been able to shine there. He would have got paid more, but he wouldn't have been able to shine as much as he probably would with KC. So I think, yeah, like, I agree completely with all of you guys. Like, you guys all hit it completely there. I mean, he basically set himself up to fail, or to potentially lose a lot more value next year. The other big move today was the Justin Simmons contract. The Justin Simmons contract with Denver. They re-signed him 4 years, 60 mil, I think like 30 mil, 35 mil or something like that in guaranteed money. But he's getting paid over 15 million a year. That's the highest paid a safety is ever getting paid. So you beg to think that, you know, now the safety market's probably going to change. What does that mean for guys like Jamal Adams? What does that mean for guys like Derwin? What does that mean for guys like Minka? You know, going into, you know, future years, and what does that mean? Where do teams decide to not pay these guys and let them walk, or is that market now set based on what Justin Simmons just did today?
I think it could be something like, you know, you look at a Jamal Adams, Derwin James, they're asked to do a lot. And yeah, Justin Simmons, that's a nice haul right there. Denver feels like they needed to pay him. I mean, you look at the AFC West, you got to have a good secondary to compete with the Kansas City Chiefs. And so I can see a guy like, you know, in the next couple of years, Jamal Adams is just a different type of safety. They bring him in a box. He blitzes. He does a lot. So to see someone like Simmons get paid what he got paid, I could easily see Jamal Adams possibly getting more. And, you know, Derwin James, the same thing. He's a really good safety. So we can see that position actually being of value as teams are going to try and compete with a lot of the speed that's out there, and, you know, really want to bring in some good secondary.
Yeah. You know, you look at a Derwin James, a Jamal Adams, they're asked to do so much. You know, sometimes they do play safety, sometimes they play that sub linebacker position, put them in the box, have them blitz off the edge sometimes. I mean, they're asked to do a lot, and there's some versatile dudes. I think they kind of get paid more than a Justin Simmons. Justin Simmons is a great safety, don't get me wrong, but I kind of feel like you get just a tad bit more out of a Jamal Adams, Derwin James type player. You know, safeties like that don't come along very often, but we're also starting to see how safeties are starting to evolve and play just more than, you know, the deep coverage, cover that bomb from, you know, from the quarterback. You're starting to see these dudes do a whole lot more on the defensive end. You know, they kind of are all over the place. They're not strictly just playing safety. You can move them to sub linebacker. You can have them blitz off the edge. You can have them play that spy in the middle. I mean, you can see how, you know, they're really evolving, and so I definitely could see Derwin James and Jamal Adams still getting paid more. And I think those dudes, when they get paid, they kind of set the market for a top tier in safety like that. I think Justin Simmons is close to that, but he's not almost there. He's kind of that little tier below. So I think he's kind of set that market for those kind of below Jamal Adams, Derwin James type tier safeties.
So you think that then maybe Jamal Adams and a Derwin and all those guys might get paid even more than that?
I could see it happening. Definitely Derwin
Okay.
James. He's such a big part of that Chargers defense. Honestly, Jamal Adams, I mean, not Jamal Adams, but Derwin James he's part of the reason, when he's healthy, is part of the reason why that Chargers defense is so successful, because of just how good he is.
Right. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I mean, To see what other teams decide to do with the safety market. Like I said, some of these guys do a lot more than just play safety and over the top. They play sub linebacker, they play the run stop, they kind of do it all. So yeah, I mean, you definitely got to pay those guys that they're worth. So it's going to definitely be interesting to see what the market turns into after this. Other than that, I mean, like I said, the free agency market today, I mean, it's been extremely quiet. You see Kenny Galladay still out there taking visits, and he's asking for a lot. He's asking to get paid a lot. So I mean, our team's going to take the risk on a guy that's not really completely proven. Kyle Fuller was released to free cap space yesterday, and then other than that, I mean, Adoree Jackson's finally starting to visit with teams. He's visiting with the Giants, which the Giants are starting to take a lot of visits. They were one of the teams that Kenny Galladay was looking at as well. So anything that you see from any one of those players, let's go ahead and go to Rowdy. Where do you feel is going to happen with either Kyle Fuller or Adoree Jackson?
So the reports are that Kyle Fuller is either going to be going to the Chargers or the Broncos. Both really good teams, but honestly, if he goes to that Chargers team looks really good on the defensive side of the football. I know they kind of released their older corner in Casey Hayward, I think. And so if you're able to replace him with an all-pro like Kyle Fuller, that's a huge upgrade that I think a lot of teams weren't even expecting to get. Now you have some teams that are kind of been waiting, now kind of get that chance to get Kyle Fuller. And there's probably some teams that probably, have kind of bit themselves in the foot from getting him now because no one expected this to happen. I mean, no one expected the Bears not to have cap room to bring him back. And now they're having to release him because they wanted to sign Andy Dalton, which is a huge L on the Bears' part. So I mean, I definitely, that's just it's amazing how you bring in Andy Dalton, but in doing that, you have to let go of your All-Pro cornerback.
Right.
I mean, is that really the trade-off we're making right here? But I definitely, it's amazing that Kyle Fuller is a free agent. I definitely see him going to the Broncos though, or the Chargers.
The Bears were definitely in cap trouble. I mean, we talked about it yesterday. They were negative 13 million cap in cap, so they definitely need to make an adjustment, whether that been cutting somebody or getting people to restructure. And it doesn't seem like some guys are on board to restructure. So what about Kenny Galladay? I mean, still a huge name on the board, but is he a high caliber name to be getting paid what he's asking for? I mean, does the team take that risk and pay him?
I mean, I don't see a team taking that risk. I mean, they're fielding the offers. That some teams are interviewing him, and yeah, for him to ask somewhere around 18 mil, that's a lot to put into one position. And is Kenny Galladay that guy? Like, there's so many good receivers out there. Galladay is a good receiver, don't get me wrong, but are you willing to give him 18 million a year for the next 3 to 4 years? Is he that guy for you? And I know a lot of teams probably don't feel that way. So Galladay is going to be out there for a minute until he decides to possibly just take less. I don't see a team paying him that much. Looking at the teams that do need receivers, those same teams that need receivers need a lot of other positions. So I want to say it's going to kind of dry up for him, and he's going to either have to do a 1-year deal, almost like a Juju, kind of prove himself that he's gonna take that chance to get more possibly next year, or he's just gonna have to settle on a contract.
Yeah. Anything to add there, Rowdy?
Yeah, no, I completely agree with Roshocker. I don't think Kenny Galladay is worth putting $18 million, maybe a 1-year $10 million deal. And I've seen reports that I think he's talking with, I think it was the Bengals have offered him like a 1-year $11 million deal or something. I've seen something with like a 1-year $11 million deal for him, maybe. or maybe I don't know. But if a team can get him, I would sign him for 1 year, 10 million. That I would sign him for. But 1 year, like 18 million, he's not an $18 million receiver at all. I hate to break it to him. He's not the production. He's not going to produce for me to pay a receiver 18 million for a year. He's got to produce way more than Kenny Galladay would.
Yeah, and I mean, it's one of those situations too where these teams gotta definitely throw in more of these incentive type situations where you got to be able to hit a specific amount of yards, or you got to hit we got to win a specific amount of games. Those type of things are the type of things that should be motivating the players more so than anything. And I don't think we see it enough. We see bonuses and we see different incentives, but I feel like we see the incentives more so on guys that are like second string and third stringers, more so than your starters. So let's go ahead and kick off to our winners and losers so far of each division, and just kind of talk a little bit about that, of what you guys feel are feeling right now from each division. We have our own sections we're covering here, so let's see who wants to go ahead and kick us off here.
I'll go ahead and start off. We're gonna go ahead and jump into the AFC North. And, we talked a little bit about Pittsburgh re-signing Juju. They signed Chris Womley. They did lose Bud Dupree and Mike Hilton. So, and they have a lot of they got to fill in a lot of spaces with their O-line. So they're really missing a lot. They haven't really addressed that. So don't know if they're going to address that in the draft. We got Cincinnati. They really just kind of filled in the spaces that they lost, and they still have a lot that they have to do as well. Baltimore didn't really lose a whole lot. They did lose Judon and Ngakoue, but their defense is still pretty good. They brought in Kevin Zelter from the Giants. Their biggest thing is I feel like they really need a receiver. And that's why I know they're in the talks with Galladay and stuff like that. But the Cleveland Browns, they get the dub for me in that division. John Johnson was a big signing for them. Cleveland didn't really lose a whole lot. They also brought in Troy Hill. They still have a lot of their key guys from last year when they made a deep run. So I want to say Cleveland gets the dub for me in that division. If I have to say anyone takes an L, it's going to be the Cincinnati Bengals.
I'm going to go ahead and kick it off to the NFC least. The NFC least, this was a division last year where, we had a losing record host a playoff game, and it just that part just baffles me that a team that could happen with the team. But for me, I'm gonna have to go with as far as the winner of that division so far in free agency, for me has to go for the New York Giants right now. And I just feel like they are definitely looking more so on the right moves to make. They addressed the tight end situation because they knew they had injury prone issues there, and gave more options for Danny Dimes, gave him John Ross. They still need to address a number one, maybe even a number one receiver situation, but I feel like they're making the right moves. I don't feel like that division has made a lot of I don't think they've made a lot of that division hasn't made a lot of moves per se. So as far as who's actually went in and made moves this so far, I would have to say the Giants. And you guys may not agree with me, but it's more so the direction that they're going, more so that they are heading into the right direction. As far as who takes the L, for me definitely has to be the Eagles. They really have been extremely quiet. They've been extremely quiet in the division, have lost more than they've gained. So I don't feel like they are doing what they need to be able to be that playoff team again. That team, I mean, that division in general is always going to be a wild card, or is going to continue to be a wild card until some team goes and makes that big leap. Because, you know, we got Washington, they're making some decent moves, but they still have a lot of question marks over there. They have to find their identity on offense. They need to figure out their QB situation. With the Cowboys, they're coming off a lot of injuries, so can they stay healthy, and will Dak be the same next year? I think there's a lot of question marks over there. So for me, so far in free agency, I feel like, you know, right now the Giants are making those leaps that they need to make.
All right, I'm gonna kick it off with the NFC South. A very interesting division. My winner, and I think everybody's winner, and this isn't even close, as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers by far. I mean, they just take it. I mean, Tom Brady was able to, you know, kind of restructure that contract, give him that cap space to be able to bring back Shaq Barrett, Chris Godwin, Levante David. They've pretty much got that whole team back. Leonard Fournette is still a free agent, but if they can't bring him back, I don't see that being the end of the world for them, because they still have, you know, a great running back core over there. You know, that honestly, I could see them repeating and going back to the Super Bowl. Tom going, you know, winning back to back, you know, like the Drake song, back to back. I could definitely see Tom doing it. That team's pretty much the same, and you know, the crazy part is last year was their first year together. And what they were able to do is win a Super Bowl like that. And so it's scary that they're going to be even better this year, because they're going to have more time to, you know, get to know each other, build that chemistry over the offseason. So my winners in that division is obviously the Buccaneers by far. It's not even close. My losers in this division, it's tough, but I'm going to have to say the Saints. I mean, you lose Drew Brees. And so now you have this kind of, you know, uncharted territory that you haven't been in for years now, where you don't have that elite quarterback this year. You either have Jameis Winston or Taysom Hill, which honestly, I'm going to agree. I don't think either of them are going to lead you to the playoffs. I think the Saints miss the playoffs. I think maybe they tank possibly this year. And then after this year, they either, you know, they try to get a quarterback in the draft, or if they don't, they possibly go into a rebuild. I mean, you still have some great players, Cameron Jordan, you have Michael Thomas, you have Alvin Kamara, and those are great guys, but you still kind of need that quarterback, that leader in the locker room to lead you guys to the playoffs, and you lost that in Drew Brees. And so honestly, I think the biggest loser here are the New Orleans Saints.
All right, well, I'm gonna go ahead and kick it off to the AFC South. And in AFC South, it's so easy to pick a loser here, and that's just, they've been the losers for the last couple of years. That's the Houston Texans. They're bringing in guys. You look at them; they made a lot of moves, but it's a lot of journeyman 1-year deals. You know, they're bringing in Tyrod Taylor, which I feel bad for him, because I really want to see him do good, and it just seems like wherever he goes, he's just joining a franchise that is just not going to help him out. But yeah, they've lost so much with JJ Watt. They lost Fuller. They're most likely going to lose Deshaun Watson. There's just so many different things with them. They're getting a new coaching, which they really need. That's probably like a dub for them, just bringing in a new coach and getting rid of Bill O'Brien. But yeah, definitely all the guys that they've signed so far are just journeyman players, 1-year deals. They're going to try to piece together a lineup. They're going to be the L's in that division this year. My winners goes to the Jaguars. The Jaguars made a lot of moves, and they're bringing in Urban Meyer. They're really trying to show that they can compete in that division. They brought in Griffin. They brought in Rashawn Jenkins. They signed 2 wide receivers from Detroit with Agnew and Jones. And I feel like they're still not done. They're making a lot of good moves. I would love for them to bring in a running back. Maybe they might draft a running back. I know they brought in Carlos Hyde, but he's more of a a guy that you would bring off the bench. But the Jaguars are definitely the dubs in this division. They've made a lot of moves. They're really trying to stack up. It's going to be interesting to see what they do in the draft, who's going to be the quarterback coming in. And yeah, Jaguars get the huge dub for me.
All right. AFC East. So with the AFC East, I mean it's pretty obvious, who's winning the free agency right now. Obviously, New England has made a lot of moves in this offseason, getting Jonnu, getting Hunter Henry, getting Nelson Aguilar, getting all these defenders as well. Their linebacker core is insane now. They didn't lose too much so far, and where they've lost, they have made sure to adjust to that and made sure to make those necessary moves, but it just begs you to question whether or not they're gonna have that dream team scenario. I mean, it's definitely not a situation with Cam necessarily there, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens on a year two with Cam there. But they are making some crazy moves, making a lot of moves on defense. On the linebacker side of the ball, on the D line side of the ball, on the DB side, they're adding more receivers. The only thing that I'm surprised they haven't done is add like another 3 running backs. I mean, we know that they love their running backs, and I'm just surprised that they haven't added more. Losers so far, I mean, would have to be the Bills. They haven't necessarily, out of that whole division, they haven't made too many moves or too many splashes. They lost John Brown, not necessarily a loss for them, just because they don't necessarily need too many receivers over there. But I mean, as far as free agency goes, they are definitely ones that haven't made a splash. But honorable mention for me also, just to throw this out there, is the Jets, because the Jets are making some decent moves on every side of the ball. They are starting to add a lot more receivers over there, although you still have Sam Darnold. They added Corey Davis. Who was another receiver that they added? If I can get this to load here. They are just one that is being a little bit more active in free agency, more so than the Bills. They went after Corey Davis. They got what's his name? LaMarcus Joyner, who currently was a corner with the Raiders, and the Raiders just utilized him badly because they didn't have the corners to actually allow him to play where he's truly comfortable and is at safety. So them adding him as an actual safety is going to be huge, not only for LaMarcus Joyner, but for that Jets defense. We already know Jets defense is already usually pretty strong, so to see them add him and keep him as a free safety, that's going to be huge.
Yeah, so I'm gonna kick it off with the NFC West now. The NFC West, I feel like, is the division that's had the most moves out of any other division. Just when you combine all the teams together. I know you've got the AFC East that's had some big moves, obviously with the Patriots and the Jets and them. But the NFC West has had so many moves. I mean, you have J.J. Watt, who goes to the Cardinals. You have Alex Mack, who goes to the 49ers, which solidifies their kind of offensive line and boosts that up. You have Seattle getting Gerald Everett. And you have the Rams getting Matthew Stafford. So a lot of big moves over here. I think my winners, honestly, is going to have to be the Cardinals. They get J.J. Watt. They get Rodney Hudson from the Las Vegas Raiders in a trade. They obviously lose Kenyon Drake, which is kind of big for them. But once again, they kind of like to air it out more than they do like to run it. So, I mean, it's fine, especially when you got Kyler Murray, who, can run. That man is fast. I mean, that boy can run. So, I mean, you don't really need – you pretty much have a running back that can just throw in Kyler Murray. So, I think the Cardinals definitely win. I mean, obviously, they lose Patrick Peterson too. But you got to think they have Budda Baker, Isaiah Simmons. I mean, they've got a good defense over there. And now you had J.J. Watt with Chandler Jones. So, I mean, that's 2 elite edge rushers that you have there. So I definitely see them winning the division as well, as long as being the biggest winners. biggest losers, it's tough. I'm gonna have to go with Seattle. I'm gonna have to go with Seattle.
Ooh.
For the reason that they've probably made the least moves and they still have the right now. I feel like they're kind of sitting with the worst team. You could argue that maybe the 49ers, but the 49ers have made, I mean, they got Alex Mack, they still got Mostert. They're getting so many of their pieces back. And I think that's what a lot of people forget is as people look at the 49ers and think they're so bad, but you got to think they lost half of their roster due to injuries. I mean, they lost Nick Bosa. George Kittle was pretty much banged up for most of the year. You lost Jimmy G. Debo Samuel was jacked up for most of the year. I mean, that's most of your stars that led you to the Super Bowl when they were so good 2 years ago. Seattle, on the other hand, you know, they start off hot every year, and then kind of towards the later half of the year, they end up just not playing that well. You know, they're probably going to lose Carson. They lost Shaquille Griffin, so that's a huge hole that you need to fill in the cornerback position. Jamal Adams, he played well, but I definitely feel like people were expecting a little bit more out of him, especially for what they gave up for him. You do sign Gerald Everett, so that's a big pickup, but I feel like you still kind of need to make that leap on the defensive side of the football because you're still kind of hurting there. Offensive line, they did pick up a right guard from the Las Vegas Raiders in Jackson. But I still feel like that team's got a long ways to go, especially with all the moves that the division rivals made. They're definitely not way behind, but they definitely are the losers currently.
All right, hopping into the NFC North. This is going to be funny, but my winners in this division is the Green Bay Packers, and simply because they didn't really lose a lot. Yes, they lost their center, Lindsey. They lost the running back who was like third string to them. But yeah, outside of that, they haven't made any moves. They're basically going to run it back. They're probably going to wait until the market kind of like really, really slows down. They probably, you know, make some 1-year deals here and there. And they're probably just going to really just build in the draft. But yeah, the Packers already shown, you know, they were in the NFC Championship game last year. They're bringing everybody back. So they'll be there to compete. The losers, pick your poison. I mean, Detroit losing all of their receivers. Yeah, they picked up a couple of receivers, but yeah, they lost Jones, Agnew, Galladay. You know, they're bringing in Jared Goff, and you know, Goff, you know, he struggled last year, and he had good receivers. So you're bringing him to a situation to where, you know, they don't have any receivers. They got a young, you know, running back. I don't really see him, you know, producing over there. And, you know, Detroit just has a lot that they have to do. Also, Chicago, Andy Dalton is their guy. Andy Dalton was told he's the starting quarterback. We're going to put all our trust in Andy Dalton. I hope they bring in somebody else, because if they're going to run the season with Andy Dalton, Bears fans, I apologize to you guys. You guys are going to be in for a long season. They've already, you know, they lost Fuller. They are really just cash strapped. They were shopping Khalil Mack. It just does not look good for the Bears organization. So, yeah, if I have to give my 2 L's, it'll definitely be between Detroit and Chicago. Minnesota, they made a couple of pickups. They lost Rudolph, but nothing too big. They're pretty much bringing the same team back. But, yeah, losers definitely Detroit and Chicago.
Yeah, let's just say Chicago's in need of a stimmy check real quick.
Yeah.
They are in need of a stimmy check bad, man, because they are cash strapped. They do not have anything, man. That's crazy. So this one's gonna be tough for me because it's AFC West, man. And I mean, obviously, you know, try to put the bias aside, you know, with this. And as much as I want to say the Raiders, I can't say the Raiders. Just because, I mean, for one, the Raiders haven't made, you know, they've been making a lot of moves. They've been trying to get guys on a budget, which is fine. They've been making a lot of moves on the front of the line, and you know, probably making a lot of those necessary moves, but they're not addressing another key factor, which is DB. Corners are definitely need some help with the Raiders. I mean, that was always a huge thing, especially with facing KC twice a year. I mean, you can't ignore the DB situation. Yes, pass rush is important, but you still can't ignore the DB situation. So for me, it is not the Raiders for the win there, even though they've made a lot of moves. Point and simple, I mean, the Kansas City Chiefs, they didn't need much. The biggest thing with them is that they needed to address their O-line after releasing their O-line, and they did that right away. And getting Thuney, and getting Kyle Long. So I mean, for me, they get the one just because they addressed their need right away that hurt them in the Super Bowl. Because other than that, nothing else was a horrible factor for them. You know, Mahomes was running for his life, but it's because of his O-line. They addressed the O-line situation, so they didn't need too much. And we already know what they're gonna do. They're gonna go after things in the draft, and they're gonna go after things after the draft. So I mean, they're gonna be fine. You know, Andy Reid is a freaking NFL genius, and you know, it sucks that he's in our division. So you know, that for me, they definitely get the win because they addressed their need right away. For me, as far as who's the loser of the division, it's kind of a toss-up, but I'm gonna have to say, just for the fact of what they've lost and what they have not addressed, you know, what they need, I'm gonna say the Chargers. The Chargers are, you know, they're losing players to free agency, and they're not addressing the need right away of what they need to add to it. Yes, they added Jared Cook, but is he gonna do the same stuff that Hunter Henry did? That's a huge question mark, because his production started to decline, you know, this last year with the New Orleans Saints. So you can't really put your trust on Jared Cook over there with the Chargers. And I would have to say, I mean, you know, you definitely got to protect your quarterback, and you got to address some of those other needs, and also come into the year with the mindset that you could potentially have those injuries again, because we know the Chargers are injury prone. So they definitely got to address those needs to make sure that doesn't happen to them going forward. Yeah, they addressed it by getting a center, and that's not going to be the trick. So let's see here, what do we got next year? Okay, so here's gonna be a fun topic, because we know there's always got to be one in the year, right? There's always got to be a sleeper in the year. So we're gonna go ahead and jump into you know, what our choices are for the sleepers. So we're gonna go ahead and kick it off with Rowdtime. Who is your sleeper and why for this year?
Ladies and gentlemen, your sleeper for the first time ever in the 19 years I've been alive on this planet. Your New England Patriots are my sleeper for the year, all right? Bill Belichick is tired, all right? He had 1 year of y'all calling him trash. Y'all said he couldn't win without Brady. Y'all said he was washed up. Y'all said the Patriots were awful. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I am here to tell you that the Patriots are going to be a sleeper, because y'all keep on saying they're going 8-8. You know what? I think the Patriots might be able to take the Chiefs down, and they're going to the Super Bowl, all right? Bill Belichick is tired of the slander. He says, you know what? Brady's probably going to go back. Why can't I? All right? The man's going to go back. He's going to take down Brady. They're going to win a Super Bowl with Cam Newton of all people. Cam Newton's going to show y'all he ain't washed up. He's going to run for 1,000 yards. I ain't probably going to run for 1,000 yards. But I'm just saying, all right? The New England Patriots are going to win their division. Bills fan, you had your year, all right, and that's it. That's all you get. You get 1 year. You get 1 year, and that's it, all right? You're done. You're done. You're not winning the division this year, all right? The Patriots are going to take over. They're coming back. They're going to beat Kansas City, and it's all over because they got that 2 tight end system, and we've seen what happens when they got a 2 tight end system, baby. It's all over. It's done. They're done playing games.
All right. You heard it, guys. Rowdy is saying the New England Patriots are going to the Super Bowl and taking it all. He's calling it. Not only are they the sleeper, but they're taking the bowl. That was bold. That was bold.
That's Rowdy's hot take of the day, boys. Y'all welcome.
The hot take. All right, so my sleeper for this year will not be the Raiders. unfortunately. My sleeper is actually going to be the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I'm going to tell you why. The Jacksonville Jaguars are making a lot of moves this year. They are addressing their needs. They're beefing up that defense again. Going back to those years with the Jack Del Rio and making that defense strong again, making it to where they're going to be able to compete with these other teams. But let's also consider that their division is not very tough. So they don't need to do very much, as long as they could. This division could very well be the NFC least of the AFC. So I could very well see the Jacksonville Jaguars taking this division with all the different moves that they're making. They're addressing a wide receiver, they're addressing their corner situation. The only thing that we haven't seen them really do is maybe add another running back, but they could address that in the draft. We know that they're probably going to draft a quarterback as well. You got a young rookie coach. You got a coach that is coming from college, and sometimes that does not translate to the NFL, but I think they still come out with the dubs that they need to be able to take that division, and they will be a playoff team this year.
And my sleeper is going to be coming out of the NFC least. And I'm going to go with the Washington football team. I think that they have something going. They got a really, really strong defense. Love their receivers. They got a young running back over there with Gibson. And they got Mr. Fitzmagic himself. And y'all know what he can do. He'll wow you at times, and there's times where you might have bad games, but you don't really need to do a whole lot in that division. If Chase Young, if you got Montez Sweat, if they're all just on their game, the defense is just killing it, they're going to shut down anybody in that division. They're going to go to the playoffs. They're going to win that division once again, back-to-back, with Fitzmagic as the quarterback. That's my team right there. Cowboys, forget about it. Giants, forget about it. Eagles, you're not even sniffing any wins. It's the Washington football team.
I don't know if that's a long yawn or a shocked face by Rowdy.
What is this man on? I thought I had a hot take. Oh my lord.
Yeah.
Roshocker on something Fridays. Roshocker, I don't know what you be giving him before he goes to work on a Friday, but you need to stop giving it to this man because he's on something else today. Oh my goodness. What in the world?
The Washington football team had a great year last year. Not a great year, but the division's trash. Let's be honest. Like the division needs a lot to actually, have a winning record. So depending on what kind of matchups we go into this season, I haven't seen the schedules yet or seen what teams are facing what, but we could be dealing with the same thing where we have another NFC least year. It's another toss up. So I could definitely see it. The Scary Terry and Curtis Samuel thing is going to be interesting, let's just say the least. I definitely like that duo there, and the running back core that they got there as well. All right. So we covered our what our sleepers are for the year. We also covered our winners and losers of the free agency so far in each division. Some of the news, like I said, today was pretty light, so we didn't see too much going on, but we're gonna go ahead and open it up to the chat. What questions do you guys have? What do you guys want to bring up? What do you guys want to see from the podcast? Give us some questions, some feedback, but what would you like us to discuss? We got about 5 more minutes left here for the podcast, and then we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up here. So let's go ahead and direct it to the chat.
Crazy is saying that Roshocker said that Dallas doesn't have a chance. Now, be honest with yourself as a Cowboys fan. Let's have a one-on-one here, all right? Or or 3 on or whatever. Listen, 1-on-1. Listen, you're a Cowboys fan. Be honest with yourself. You really think that y'all are not going to choke away to your division like you do every single year? Let's be honest with ourselves. You really think that Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott aren't going to choke it away like they always do? Let's be honest here. The Cowboys, all right, are just the Atlanta Falcons of their division. That's all they are. They're just another Atlanta Falcons disguised with a star as their logo. That's all the Cowboys are. They choke. That's all they've ever been known for.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not saying that they don't have a chance, but like you said, I mean, you know, that's his sleeper. Nobody expects the Washington football team to come out another year, especially after losing Alex Smith. I mean, their QB situation's always been bouncing around. They went from Haskins to Alex Smith to who was the other guy that they had? Heineke or
Chad Henneke.
Henneke, yeah.
Hey, Henneke's the GOAT. Don't be hating on Henneke.
I'm not hating on him. I just don't know what his name is. So I mean, you know, the QB situation over there. I mean, you just never know what to happen. But I mean, Fitz magic though, guys. Fitz magic. The magic goes where the magic goes.
Oh my goodness.
How many teams has he played on, and how many teams has he just, you know, brought some wins on?
Stop it. Please tell me you're not on this train of the Fitz magic. Oh, my Lord.
Oh, I'm
There's
absolutely.
2 of you now?
I seen a question there from Chef asking who we think is gonna be the teams in the AFC conference championship. That's an interesting question. Who do we think is gonna be AFC conference championship? Tell you who it's not gonna be. No, oh man, I mean, you just hate to say it, but I mean, we kind of figure, you know,
You gotta say it.
the Kansas City Chiefs. It's gonna be one of them. You know what, Vinzo? You know what, Vinzo? Yes. You know what, Vinzo? Yes. Case. I don't know. Can that even happen? KC and Raiders.
Oh.
Yeah, I was gonna say, can that even happen? Is that even possible?
They would have to be like a specific like the ranking has to be different. Like, so if Kansas City was first and like the Raiders were fifth or something like that, and they didn't face them until like they would have to. It would depend on who loses each round or something. I mean, it's a bold statement, but you always want to say your team, man. You always want to say your team.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna go a little bit crazy, and I'm gonna say the Bills against the Browns. I'm gonna say the Bills against the Browns. I think the Bills are gonna be hungry. They're gonna be back. I really like what they got going over there. And Cleveland has something that they're building on. And I think one of those teams is going to take out the Chiefs early in a divisional round. And we're going to see Bills and Browns in the championship game.
Okay.
I am going with a bombshell. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going with the New England Patriots against the Tennessee Titans.
Oh.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting. That'd be interesting to see if that actually happens. But I don't know, man.
Baby.
I think the Titans are kind of going downhill. I feel like they're getting back to the old Titans ways, and I don't know. I don't think they win the division again. Now let's go to flip it to the other side. What about the NFC? Who do we got taking the NFC divisions, or who's the NFC championship gonna be between?
It pains me to say this, but the Arizona Cardinals and the Oh, that hurt to say. And and the Packers. Oh, that hurt. Oh, that hurt to say.
Wow. I mean, we talked about this earlier. I went crazy a couple of shows ago by saying that the Cardinals are going to go to the Super Bowl, and I'm going to stick with it. I really love Cardinals moves. Packers are going to be the Packers. I think I agree with you. Cardinals and Packers, and I say Cardinals in the Super Bowl.
I'm gonna take it a different direction here. I mean, I don't think it's gonna be too shocking, but I'm gonna still keep it in the West. But I'm gonna go with the LA Rams. I'm gonna go with the LA Rams and the Bucks. I think the Bucks go again to the championship. Now, do they win and go to the Super Bowl? It'll be interesting, but I'm gonna go and say the Rams versus the Bucks. Hey,
I don't like.
For me, it's more so like the what's that it. I don't know, man. It's just a toss up because I feel like it's gonna be very interesting to see what Stafford does when he actually has receivers now. And that defense, we already know what that defense does. You know, the defense is already strong. It's just a matter of what Stafford shows up. Because we've all seen Stafford, you know, put up some great games, but we also seen him not be able to play 4 quarters. So, but it'll be interesting to see what happens when he has a field full of receivers. All right. Anybody else got anything to add here? Got anything from Rowdy? We got the end of the week, guys. End of the week. Now we got the start of March Madness. So we should probably start to see a lot of basketball talks starting next week as well. Probably a little bit of sprinkling of football, just because, you know, free agency is going to start to calm down. You know, but we'll be adding some more sports into the mix as well.
Yeah, March Madness has started up. They had the play-in games yesterday. We had a couple of good games. We had Wichita State Shockers against Drake. Drake won by 1 yesterday. UCLA and Michigan State went into overtime. That was a really exciting game. UCLA pulling off that victory. And yeah, so far today, no upsets yet. No one's brackets is busted. But we got a couple of potentials. Oregon State has an early lead on Tennessee, 18-9. They're the 12th seed going up against the 5th seed in that one. And Ohio State and Oral Roberts, keep an eye on that one. Ohio State is up by 1 with 14 seconds left. So it's going to be interesting. Can ORU pull off the upset there? They're the 15th seed going up against the 2 seed. So that's my favorite thing about March Madness. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't know a lot of the players on the teams, but I love seeing upsets. That's like my favorite thing with March Madness.
Cinderella stories.
Yes.
There was almost a big upset today with, or not a big upset, but Florida almost lost to Virginia Tech. I think it was.
Yeah,
Today.
that was an overtime game.
Virginia Tech had a big shot with, I think, 2 seconds left after Florida missed 2 free throws to go up by 4. Virginia Tech came down the floor and a dude just hit an absolutely filthy 3 in the Florida Gators defender's mouth to send it to OT. It was a great game, great back and forth, but that was close. That could have messed up a lot of people's brackets, because I know a lot of people have Florida kind of going pretty far into the tournament. So.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, that was episode 3 of Sports Talk. Next week, we will be switching it up a little bit differently. So we have our schedule of the Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, but we'll have one day on Rowdy's channel, one day on my channel, one day on Roshocker's channel. So we'll be switching it up so that way we can kind of mix it up around as well. We'll also be getting some of these vids on the YouTube as well. So we'll go ahead and post those up so that way you guys can go ahead and watch them as well if you guys did miss them, as well as of course the VODs as well. So we're gonna go ahead and send it off to somebody, but I appreciate you guys. Until next time, we'll see you guys next week.
All right, we'll see you.